gave us the opportunity to extend our network and platform people. And that's something that I know, I'm not sure it's like written in values, but it definitely feels like it's a value that we try to hold, that we try to sort of enact. I think if we had, like we've said before, like if we had money in a central pot right now to like pay people to do pilots or to try things out or to do things, I think we'd have a lot more work generated from within ELC. But I think that's again part of where we are, and that's why we have to grow. We have to grow to yeah, exactly. So I think it's part of our growth strategy is to work with other artists as well. And I think turn from almost being collective into a community. And
in order to grow, we've got to smash these next 2 opportunities.
No pressure.
How long? What time is it?
It's 6:25. How's everyone feeling?
I can keep going if people.
What do
Maybe
we?
another half an hour and then.
What do we? But what are we? How is this feeling for everyone? Like, what does it look like?
It's
What's
good.
this? How is this? Can we zoom out a little bit and be like, are there questions on that board that are like way too pressing to zoom out a second?
You're not having like a 4-hour video.
No.
No, seriously, I'm being serious.
No, I think we should edit it.
We could edit a bit, but I just mean.
Yeah, we edited a bit.
I don't know if chopping it up too much though. Actually, the more and more I think about it, the more I'm just like, people are gonna come in, and they're not gonna watch the whole thing anyway. We could do an edited version online potentially, but maybe in the show it would be like you come in and you stand with it for like 20 minutes and you just like eavesdrop on an institutional conversation from the inner workings of what's going on. Might be quite an interesting thing. I'm just putting it out there at this moment in time. Your face looks like you want to be sick on your lap.
I'm so bad. My poker face is so shit. I'm just like.
I think it should be looked at.
Like critique is a siren. Like critique is a like enchanting, and like we all fall into the critique chat trap. And I just wonder, like what Wojciech said earlier. Like what about the audiences?
Yeah.
Is at this point we've kind of made a lot of ground on ELC stuff. We'd be like, okay, well, let's now think about Tate and let's think about Giraffe and let's think about like, all of the like, I don't know, art shit.
Do you want to pick up on the audiences?
Yeah, we could think about the audience stuff now, if you want.
I just mean like, what does this work look like?
Oh,
like,
what
does this work look like to audiences? Like, do we make a 5-minute video out of just like a few select bits of convo from this, or do we want to re-perform them in a way so that we're not giving all of our politics to Giraffe? Does it want to be in the model on a little screen, or do we want to like project it into the model and then show it on another screen, or do we want to just show these pieces of paper, like that kind of stuff?
I think it should be just in the model. I don't think it should be online. Like I like Louis' idea because if it's demanding, then like you cannot sort of like only get introduced to the politics if you in the last 2 hours, and the work is the model. It's not the video. Like if this was like installed in like a shishi sort of as a shishi video installation with carpets, and you kind of like sit there and watch, and like it's like 4K, I'll be like, kill me. But it's you're like kind of like looking from the top at this like put like little figurines or something, these people kind of like talking and so that's fine, that's like, I think let's not forget what we set up. Like we can work for the audience when there's resources for that. Like we work for ourselves now. Like we needed this meeting like
that's a political
like water,
decision, actually.
And I'm really glad it happened, and really like already it's like untangled some things for me.
Do we want to put anything on the gallery walls, like an explanatory text, or?
I mean, whatever the blurb about POC that's like on the website, whatever.
I like it a little more elusive, actually, because this is quite expository, as it is.
God, yeah.
And I don't think we need to further Yeah.
I'd be fucking nervous if I wasn't editing this.
I was going to say, I feel like maybe a short sentence of, you know, just saying,
A quote.
like we met, you know, on October the 13th, that we got to that, you know, ELC members for 4 out of 7 or 4 out of 8, 5 out of 8,
Context.
you know,
What?
came to met at Raven Row to discuss
TV.
or whatever. No, but to just you know, just to have like a general meeting, or there may be a word. I don't know. Maybe I'm not.
AGM.
I think. We
Yeah,
should
it is kind of. It is an AGM. We were saying this the other day. I was literally joking about it with Wojciech yesterday, and then I looked for the notes, and you'd written it there as like the AGM, and it is. It's the annual general meeting basically, and like we had to do this. It is quite an important thing to do, and it's a shame that we're like, you know, 3 members short even. But saying that, I still feel like we've gotten more done today than we have in like a whole bunch of Skypes.
Yeah,
Of course.
definitely.
And it's just that being in front of people and actually being kept in the room. We have to sort this out, you know.
And we need to remember that these have always been the most generative forms. Like, the Skypes are great. I think it's important that we kind of keep that momentum, but in terms of things like being resolved or like what comes next, I feel like that's always been generated through the form of our just like in-person meetings.
Yeah, that'd be really lovely if we had the comfort to just
I know.
meet like fucking
It's
once a
not
month,
practical,
and
but
yeah, everybody's like, yeah, I have totally time, but or
yeah.
money.
Do we want to talk about the emotional side? Is that something we want to conclude on?
Feeling very emotional today.
Yeah.
Allow me.
Me too.
I don't know. How is everyone feeling with ELC? Keep your own shit to yourself. I'm not interested. No, but is this a support? It's not a drain on anyone. No one's got like negative feelings about what we actually have to do here or what we have to get done, have they? Like overriding negative feelings.
Negative feelings are good too. Like, I mean, I have negative feelings about everything. That's, you know.
I
Also
feel like any time it feels like a drain, it's because there are things left unspoken between us. And any time we come together and we've just voiced honestly where we're coming from, what we're feeling, what if we feel strained, it's like it just completely lifts for me. Then we get to kind of be constructive and supportive and talk about what everyone needs.
I mean, I'm honestly super amazed about how little conflict we had and how quickly they resolve too.
Yeah.
So there is just generally, I think, a quite good atmosphere and trust.
It's good to know this though, like if people are hearing, they actually I know it's difficult to get people together, and there is obviously an economic aspect to that. But I just think also it's really, really good to hear everyone saying like how important they find these meetings, because it does also allow us to sort of go, right, maybe we don't meet as often, maybe we just meet for longer and really focus it in, and we don't try and get everyone to have conversations every week or every other week. And again, like you were saying, Wojciech, the trust is there. Maybe we just need to like give those roles to people, and then they can allow that to sort of be looked after in between those meetings, and then we have, you know, every 3 months, every 4 months, like 3 times a year, twice a year, we have like 2 long days and we get stuff done.
I seriously think sometimes Facebook and, you know, emails are bad. It's just really difficult to communicate emotions via these, you know, platforms. And I would encourage just to pick up the phone, or, you know, if that's something we want to do, because I also enjoy like just for the voice messages. It just makes you feel closer to somebody, and you can just hear how someone is feeling.
Yes, conflict is not abuse. Conflict escalates so quickly on messenger
Misunderstanding.
I can't stand
platforms.
Facebook Messenger.
If there's anything that any
Why are we using
I don't know why we use it. I really
yeah,
don't know
we
why
need to think
get off
about
it.
this seriously, because if there's any wisdom that we can spread to any other collectives or organisations or activist groups, I think there's very little wisdom we have to spread. The groups that haven't already established for themselves, but like one of them is that like get the fuck off WhatsApp Messenger, get off Facebook Messenger, because things just blow up.
We don't have most of the time. Most of the conversations we have on there, we don't have instant answers for the instant messaging. So like and it's that thing of like, I see that someone's read it. If I want an answer, that just triggers me. I'm livid at that point. Do you know what I mean? You've all looked at it and no one's answered. But it doesn't mean that I do that though. I'll pick up my phone and go like that. And if someone's messaged me and I'll go, I can't read it now, but I know that someone's messaged me because it's buzzed in my pocket. And then it's like, whoops.
So
but
basically the problem is not the communication, it's just Facebook Messenger.
As a form of communication, definitely heightens the
because it's like if we were here and someone would keep saying like, oh yeah, like I don't like the way you communicate or something, then we have a real problem. But I think it's like the specificity of the platform, where you're like, oh, this would be so easy for you to just say yes and no. But it's not that easy, sometimes it's not.
No, it's not
easy. That's why you need to be in a room with people if you can, because these things are difficult and they take time and they take kind of coming at them from multiple angles and like refining and redressing, and like you can't do that over these platforms, and then everyone kind of ends up, by necessity coming up with these very like rote and tired solutions, and then we end up in this kind of like, I don't know, like admin vortex. And just all the fun and love is just drained from
or it's just sometimes I don't understand the question, so I don't know how to answer. Just simple things like that that just get communicated via text messages, so you we don't understand exactly what is being required.
So how do we I think we should actually really think in practical terms about how we go forward with this. I think, like, even just like looking at the calendar for the next year, if we could even get 2 of these kind of like in motion, and then find another way that's not Facebook Messenger, but like doesn't require us having to be in the same room, like some other kind of platform. I don't know how we do it, but like there's got to be another more constructive way.
I mean, we're on Facebook Messenger because that was the platform Dan used the most. So yeah, I agree. Like I get, where's the space for emotions? I get quite emotional and jealous that like loads of other groups in this building are always like in and like eating together and stuff. I get really jealous. So yeah, I feel like if we set like a date every quarter or something and did a long day, that would be really cool.
I feel like a quarter is really. I feel like either it's like once every 3 months or once every 4 months. Like either three or 4 a year. I feel like is probably the number that we need to be having. But also just so that like 12 weeks is enough time to get some stuff done. Do you know what I mean? That's enough time to send in an Arts Council application, have it rejected, and send it again. No, like, I know it's like a kind of a silly thing, but actually that's quite good because it means that like we should be hoping to have some goal orientate. We can have some more goal orientated aspects to our meetings, and when we come together, those questions on what do I need to come in? Yeah. Well, you find out that if you come in on that time, you're going to get an answer for a funding application each time, for instance. That might be a good sort of basic thing, something to discuss when we're all in.
Yeah.
I think it would help me if there is some, like, if we are successful in funding and there is like 20% set aside and we like pay ourselves for these meetings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think everyone can. I think we could probably.
I'd be so happy to come.
A day's wage is an easy thing to account for if we're going to do it like that.
Gosh, yeah.
And also 3 months in advance flights or trains or buses or whatever it is that you're getting into the country for. Like we can really make a saving if we know what we're doing.
Yeah. Because I mean, one of these days is worth like 50 of those Facebook calls.
That is true,
Yeah.
We are saving money.
Yeah, and time. It's like,
Yeah.
it has to feel like it's feeding us energetically.
Yeah.
And
it's a shame that we've had to spend all this time speaking about ourselves and not about the creative process and stuff.